Hey everyone, how's it going? David here with Modded Reimagined here with another video showing you an updated way on how you could go ahead and downgrade your Emummc. If you have a newly modded switch and you are on update 22.0, this is a streamlined way of how to go ahead and downgrade that to whatever firmware you like. This is utilizing sysnand Fixer Pro software, and it just makes it so much more automatic and streamlined than my last video that was a little more complicated and didn't seem to work too well on Arista switches. Unfortunately, I don't have one to test out. However, this method is automatic and can automatically detect what switch you have, so it should be more streamlined and should work flawlessly. So I'm gonna go ahead and start from the beginning. Say if you just freshly got this switch and everything, you can see I'm on 22.0. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna turn it off and I'm gonna go boot back into Hekate. Okay, and now back here on Hekate, I'm gonna go ahead and show you step by step, basically like if you had just gotten this and you need to create an Emummc. If you already have one created that's on 22.0 and you just want to see how you could go ahead and downgrade that, go ahead and skip to this part of the video. Otherwise, if you want to start from scratch, pretty much this is what you would do. All you would do once you have all your Hekate atmosphere and everything installed, you're gonna go ahead and go to tools. We're gonna go ahead and go to partition SD card. Okay, I already have mine partitioned, but I'll go ahead and redo it for purposes of this video. So you're going to want to go ahead and slide your Emummc raw to whatever amount you want. I usually do 12 just because it saves me some space on the SD card, and I'm only going to allocate 12 gigabytes to the Emummc main storage. So I usually do 12. So next step, this will wipe the SD card. Your files will be backed up. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and hit start. We're going to wait for the countdown to finish, and then I will come back once that is complete and backed up and partitioned. So alrighty, and once that is complete, our switch is partitioned. So now we're going to go ahead and close. We're going to go home. We're going to go to Emummc, create Emummc. We're going to go ahead and do SD partition, and we're going to go ahead and do part 1. If you have part 2 or part 3 highlighted, go ahead and press that. It changes, but typically whichever one's highlighted you go ahead and do. So we'll do part 1 and we'll come back once this is finished as well. Alright, and now with this complete, we're going to go ahead and close. We're going to change our Emummc. We're going to hit SD raw 1. Okay, we'll close it, and now technically our Emummc is created. However, it's on 22.0 and I'm on atmosphere version 1.9.5, so unfortunately I'm either going to get an atmosphere error or a blue screen error. Unfortunately, the latest atmosphere doesn't support 22.0. However, there's a ton of developers constantly working hard trying to get that updated and get a public release out, so huge shout out to them. This is a temporary solution until then. So I'll go ahead and show you. If we go into Emummc, we're going to let it boot up. I'm either going to get a blue screen or an atmosphere error, and I got the blue screen. That's because I am on a 22.0 firmware and it is not currently supported. So now I'll go ahead and show you how to downgrade this. We'll go down move. So first thing you're going to want to do before you downgrade this is going to be two important things. One of the most important things is you're going to want to go over to your tools, and you're going to want to back up your Emummc, back up both your boot 0 and boot 1 as well as your raw GPP. Depending what switch you have, either an Arista, a V1 or original, and a light, those will be 32 gigabyte eMMCs. If you have an OLED like this one, it'll be a 64 eMMC. So just make sure you have enough room in your SD card to back it up, and if could fully have enough space for it to be backed up, because you will need this to be able to use the app. So you're going to go and want to do that, and once you back up both boot 0 and boot 1 and the raw, just come on back to this part of the video and we're going to go ahead and continue on. Alrighty, and now that you have your Emummc backed up and on your SD card, we could go and leave it in the SD card, but you could also back it up to anywhere you want that safe, whether it's on a computer, a network attached storage, whatever it may be, as long as you have it somewhere safe. But you do want to keep it on the SD card for purposes of this video, because we will be digging into that folder. So once you have that backed up, one thing you're going to want is your prod keys. So if you already have those dumped, you could skip to this part of the video. And if you do not have them dumped, so it's super easy, you're just going to want to install lockpick. So now we'll go to move on over to the computer and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, now over here on your computer, all you're going to want for right now is just one payload, which is going to be lockpick. So if you head on over to the link that I'm going to have in the description, just go ahead and download lockpick.rcm. Next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and insert your switches SD to your computer, whether that's through USB-C, through hekate, or just actually physically putting the SD card in your computer. As long as you could access it, that's all you need. So all we're going to do is go ahead and right click, copy, go over to our switches SD, then we're going to go on over to bootloader, and then payloads, and we're going to go ahead and place it in there. And that is pretty much it for now. Now we're going to go ahead and go on over back to the workbench, and I'll show you how to dump your prod keys. All right, and now back over here on the workbench, we went ahead and installed lockpick onto our payloads folder. Now what we're going to do, go to payloads. You can see it right there. We're going to go ahead and select it. Next, what we're going to do, turn it sideways, and we are going to go ahead and dump from sysnand, which is going to be the first option. So all we have to do is hit the power button. It's going to dump, then the volume down button, and we're going to go ahead and power it off, because now that we dumped the prod keys, we're going to go ahead and do the next step. So I'll be right back on the computer again. All right, and now back over here on the computer, there's only going to be a couple things you're going to need to download. So first off, we're going to go and want to download the NAND Fix Pro from Esthetex. So we're going to go and download the latest release, which will be 2.2.0. We're going to go ahead and download that, whether it's a 7-zip or the exe. I downloaded the 7-zip, but they both do the same thing. Next, you're going to want to download the switch firmware. You're going to want to downgrade to, as always, I usually recommend 20.5.0 because that supports Atmosphere 1.9.5, which supports pretty much all the homebrew apps as it normally would, and it doesn't have the updated less memory. So whatever firmware, however you want to downgrade to, whether it's 20, whether it's 21, whatever one you want, just go ahead and download that one. And last thing we're going to need on top of lockpick, which we already used, is going to be Tegra Explorer. So we're going to go ahead and download that as well, because we need to delete a certain file once we downgrade to be able to boot into the Emummc. And now once all that is done, we're going to go ahead and download them all. I already have them downloaded. They are right here. So what we're going to go ahead and do is you're going to want to extract NAND Fix Pro or run the exe, whichever one you did. I'm placing everything in a new folder just to kind of keep it nice and organized. I have my firmware here. I have my NAND Fix Pro, lockpick, and Tegra Explorer. So what we're going to want to do is copy Tegra Explorer, and we're going to go ahead and want to place it in the switches SD. However you want to go ahead and do it, whether it's with the adapter or through hekate on USB-C. I usually do the USB-C, so I'm going to go ahead and connect it now. And we are going to go ahead and place Tegra Explorer in bootloader on their payloads. We're going to go ahead and place it here, and Tegra Explorer right there, right with lockpick RCM. Now once this is done, once you have your switch backup already on your SD card, the main one that is on your switch, and you have your prod keys dumped, next what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and go into that NAND Fix Pro, and we're going to go ahead and run the exe. If this is your first time running it, it's going to go ahead and install an instance of Python onto your computer. Mine is already installed, so I'm not going to go ahead and have that pop up, but you can see right here it's going through, and here is the app. So what we're going to want to go ahead and do, I'm going to go and turn on my other camera so we can look at both at the same time and show you what we are doing on the switch on the same time we have it connected to the computer. You will need to connect your computer through USB-C, or excuse me, you will need to connect your switch through USB-C to your computer and be able to do this, unfortunately. But I will show you step by step on how to do it. It's super simple. So I'll be right back with both cameras on and showing you how we go back and forth between the computer and the switch. Alrighty, and now here you can see I have my switch right here next to my computer. I have my USB-C cable that's connected to my computer to connect to my switch, and I have the software open for the downgrade. So first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Tools, we're going to go to USB Tools and SD card, and once that is set up, we're going to go ahead and connect our switch, and it should be automatically recognized in the software. This right here, you need to make sure you have your Emummc backed up as well as your prod keys dumped onto your SD card, because it's automatically going to search for them and find them. So I'll go ahead and get keys, and you can see keys obtained, bar that keys were imported successfully. Please right click and eject your SD card. So what we're going to go ahead and do now is we're going to go ahead and eject our switch. So now it is ejected. Right here, we're going to go ahead and close it. Now what we're going to do to downgrade our Emummc only, I wouldn't recommend this on the Emummc unless you have a banned switch, because anytime you downgrade and all that, you get a risk, especially on the Emummc. On the Emummc, it's pretty safe to do so, and if anything were to go wrong, you could always just delete the eMMC and or I'm sorry, EMU MMC and rebuild another one, and then it should be as good as new. So at that point, I would only recommend doing it on an EMU MMC. Now, what you're going to want to do is right here where it says read only, go ahead and click that and turn it off. We're going to go ahead and click EMU raw GPP, and we're going to go and connect our USB-C again. Now back here on the app, the firmware folder. So this, you're going to point towards where you want, where your downgraded firmware is that you want to go ahead and downgrade your switch to. So we're going to go ahead and hit browse. Mine is on my desktop on the new downgrade, and I'm downgrading to 20.5.0. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that and select folder. And once that is all set and done, we're going to go ahead and hit start level 1 process. So we'll start that, and it's going to find it automatically. My size is 12 gigabytes, hekate SD, physical drive 3, continue, yes. And this is going to be a pretty automated thing. So we're going to go ahead and speed on through this, and once this is done, I will be right back. All right, and once it's complete, all we're going to do is hit OK. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to go to eject, remove the USB-C cable, wait for that to load up, and we're going to go ahead and hit close. And now we're going to go back and hit SD card again. So hit that, and we're going to go ahead and connect our USB-C. We're going to go ahead and copy boot to SD. And it's going to show the location of where, and you want to overwrite it, you're going to hit yes, and that's it. And then once that's done, we're going to hit OK. We're going to go ahead and eject the switch. Disk ejected. And now with it ejected, we're going to go ahead and close. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and close. We're going to go to restore eMMC, and you want to make sure you click down here SD EMU MMC raw partition. That'll put us into the EMU MMC, because you do not want to do this to your regular MMC, just because one, it's a higher risk of getting banned. You don't really need to downgrade your stock side, and anything we do to the EMU MMC is pretty much reversible. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and SD EMU MMC boot 0 and boot 1. And it's going to give a countdown saying that if anything's wrong with it, it may become inoperative, but that's fine because we could always just delete it and redo the EMU MMC. So we're going to go ahead and hit power. And once that's complete, we're going to go ahead and close it up. And then on this main screen, there is one more thing we have to do. Since we did downgrade the switch, we have to go over to payloads. We have to go into Tegra Explorer and go ahead and wait for that to load up. Alrighty. And once that is loaded up, we're going to go ahead and go on over to browse EMU MMC. We're going to go to system and then save. And then we're going to look for the file that ends in 73, which is right here. I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and we're going to hit delete file. Are you sure? Yes. We have to delete that file because if we don't, the EMU MMC won't boot. It'll give us an atmosphere error. So now what we're going to do is we're going to power off, and we're going to power it back on and wait for that to turn back on. And once it's powered back on, all we're going to do is hit launch. And now EMU MMC, we're going to wait for that to boot. And once it's booted, we'll go to settings, scroll all the way down, and now you can see we're on 20.5.0, atmosphere 1.9.5 on the E, which is the EMU MMC. And so that's pretty much a successful downgrade. You don't have to worry about the warm boot folder. You don't have to worry about pretty much everything else in the other video, all the extra apps and everything. And then at this point, you could go ahead and install whatever atmosphere version you want. You could install whatever apps you want. You could go ahead and throw in the hats pack if you like. I just like having a bare bones with everything that I need. And I like atmosphere 1.9.5 because it doesn't give me the ABI error. On homebrew apps, you can see they're all fully supported. So with that being said, that's pretty much it for the downgrade video. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them down in the comments below. If you want any more future videos like this, go ahead and subscribe, leave a like if this helped you out, and any questions, just go ahead and throw them down in the comments and I'll try and reply. Thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day.